I want to be very practical with you now, just for 5 minutes before we break for lunch, and to give you some strategies that you can take home to help with managing your fatigue. These are very simple techniques, and I know that for some of you who may have had MS for a while, you will have heard these before, and it will be simply a reminder and a reconnecting and perhaps a recommitment with doing those techniques. And for those of you that are newly diagnosed with MS, maybe this will be a bit of some new information for you. So as Jameen pointed out, there are some contributing factors to your fatigue over and above simply MS. The sleep disturbance that you might have. How many of you do find you have difficulties or some disturbed sleep? A lot of you, okay. And obviously that can also be related around pain and bladder issues, etc. Obviously depression or mood changes is going to affect your level of energy, diet and lifestyle. And Dr. Cassie Nesbitt will be presenting on holistic approaches to managing MS after lunch. So I look forward to the information that she'll be presenting to us. Heat, as you know, and we've tried to get an ambient temperature in this room today, and it's been tricky. It's either too cold or it's too hot. You know that situation better than I do. And again, as Jameen pointed out, medications, particularly for depression and pain management, can make you a bit sleepy. We want to encourage you that you're very much in the driver's seat. You know best. You collect the information, you get informed, and then you make empowered and informed and conscious decisions about what's best for you. So some simple strategies, and just a mention that small changes really can make a big difference. Number one is prioritizing your activities. What's critical? What must be done? What's important? And when we say important, what's meaningful for you? What adds quality to your life? What do you love doing? And as Uncle Bill pointed out, what gives you purpose and meaning? What adds a log on your fire? That sounds a bit strange, but you know what I mean. And what's trivial? What can you delegate? And lots of us are particularly poor at delegating and then trusting who we've delegated to. It's a fine art, and it's really important that we practice it. Planning your activities. I'm like Luke, I use a visual diary. Balancing your activities so that you're doing energy-intense activities and then something more low-key. And I know a lot of this is obvious, but we don't do a lot of obvious things sometimes. So it's about reminding you and maybe renewing your commitment again. Pacing is important, and we know that frequent, regular breaks are going to be more effective than carrying on until you're absolutely exhausted and then falling in a heap. And I can see a few of you absolutely relate to this picture. So stop before you're exhausted. Don't use exhaustion as a guide. I want to get one of these. If anybody finds out where you can buy them, then please come and see me. I think that looks brilliant. It was a bit chilly as well earlier, so that beanie effect would have been useful. So give yourself permission to rest. And for the women in this room, you'll identify with this, because we can be really tough on ourselves in terms of giving ourselves permission to stop, permission to let somebody else help us, permission to rest. So go gently. And one of the tips on the wellness wall is that learning how to say no. And that's a fine art that we keep trying to learn and practicing. We know that MS does contribute to sleep disorders, and your show of hands earlier certainly reflected that. But having a good sleep hygiene practice can help in part. It's not a solution, but it can contribute, can help. So I like to think about how we put our kids to bed, the kind of routines that we set up to allow our children to have a good night's sleep. So a great routine: get your phones, your computer, your TV out of your bedroom. That blue light affects your melatonin. That's not conducive to sleep. Caffeine, we all manage caffeine differently. You know what's best, but you're going to have to review your use of coffee, Red Bull, chocolate, and caffeine. Although, you know, we all know that chocolate is good for us, don't we? Dark chocolate, no sugar, a couple of squares. I'm sure Cassie will reinforce that later on. Exercise the right level at the right time is going to help your fatigue. Stress management, and Jameen touched on that as well. Mind management, our thoughts, our busy minds. How often is it that it's our busy mind that is keeping us awake at 3 o'clock in the morning? So there's some great apps, Headspace, Smiling Minds, some beautiful apps that you can use that help. Believe me, you're not alone in that 3 o'clock in the morning busy mind thing. Journaling can help to do some mind management, and that old chestnut, the temperature. And for good sleep, you actually need the room a bit cooler. Depression is going to affect fatigue, and we know that CBT can make a significant positive impact on mood. So that's cognitive behavioural therapy. There's a few studies that you can get onto, and again, if you call our MS Connect number, they can help you with that, and we'll provide that MS Connect number for you later on in the day, and it's on all of our leaflets and documentation outside on the resource tables. And again, Jameen touched on the fact that relaxation techniques can help. Unhelpful thoughts. Anybody ever thought any of the following as a result of their fatigue? I'm lazy. This fatigue means that MS is taking over my life. I'm useless because I can't do all the things I used to do. I'm making a big deal over this. Everyone gets tired and they keep going. Others must think I'm lazy. So we've all thought those thoughts, and fatigue has a significant impact on people's lives with MS. But it's getting hold of those unhelpful thoughts and addressing them, because they can add to the problem. And I've got an example here of John and his lawnmower. So John has MS. He used to mow his lawn. It would make him absolutely exhausted. He would be irritable. He'd argue with his wife. It would take him a day or so to recover. And he didn't then have the energy to do the things that he loved, the other things that he enjoyed doing. When he sat and thought about some of his unhelpful thoughts around this, he realized that not mowing the lawn to him meant that he felt useless. He'd always been told that if he started a task, he better finish it, otherwise he's useless. So catching hold of this unhelpful thought, and this can be easier said than done, allowed him to think about, okay, am I useless if I don't mow the lawn? And of course he's not. There's lots of useful things that he's doing every day and contributing. Was mowing the lawn the most important thing for him? No, it wasn't. Did he enjoy it? No, he didn't. So he now pays his nephew to mow his lawn, and he uses his energy to do things that are more rewarding, more purposeful, more meaningful, more joyful for him. Diet can significantly help with fatigue, so getting rid of your sugary snacks, having healthy snacks, making sure you're well hydrated, making sure you've got good iron levels, that you're not anemic or iron deficient. And again, Cassie will touch on the evidence around this, although as Jeanette has mentioned, it's scant, but good common sense, healthy diet is going to help you with your energy and your general well-being. For me, getting my diet in order, the only way I can do this is having a pantry sort out and getting rid of the refined and processed and sugary foods that I love, but I don't want to be eating. So it's a simple tip, but it works for me. By the way, my pantry does not look like that. I could never be that neat, but you get the gist. Exercise, as we've mentioned, is going to be really important. And we run a program which originated in the UK called the Facets program. And this is around using a lot of the tips that we've mentioned, but also very much around using cognitive behavioural therapy to help with fatigue management. It's very popular. We've run one in Lidcombe already, I think, Kat, and we're hoping that we might be able to run some more. So please keep an eye on our website. How many of you get the MS emails? How many of you get the regular? Fantastic. If you don't, sign up and you'll be advised of when the next programs might run. Peer support can really help with fatigue management. If you're talking to somebody else in a similar situation to yourself who's managing fatigue well, that can be really helpful, and Katerina can help you in that regard. So your take-home strategies, the 4 Ps: planning, prioritisation, pacing, connecting with peers, sleep and rest, relaxation, diet, exercise, heat management, medication review. And MS fatigue, as you know very well, is different to normal fatigue. But do bear in mind, could the fatigue you're experiencing be caused by an infection, or a relapse, or medication? What can you change in your life to improve your fatigue? And seek specialist help. You're always welcome to call MS Connect. That's the 1-800-042-138 number, and you can speak to our specialist MS nurses who can help talk you through some options.